The laws and recommendations of the creation of all things creation contain love for all people of your kind human beings, and therefore you shall take this love and use it also for all people of your kind humankind, and for everything that is on earth and lives and crawls and flies therein. Truly, the love of the creation of all things creation is included in all its creatures, creation's life forms, and in everything in existence existing, therefore also in people of your kind human beings. So you only have to awaken it in yourselves and bring it into activity existence. So the prophets teach you these things in ample measure so that you give your prudence attention to the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation, and follow them, so your number of ones knowing of the truth increases. Learn the truth through the teaching of the prophets so that you do not incite people of your kind fellow human beings to fight against the truth. Learn the truth through the teaching of the prophets so that you may be steadfast in the truth and in following the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things creation. So you overcome everything and turn your back on everything that is non-rightful and disastrous and calamitous which you are accustomed to do in your exogenous and intellect, because you do not understand, do not realize the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation. Lighten your burden of your exogenous and intellect, and your intransigence irrationality, as well as your unfreedom bondage, and lovelessness, your unpeace, dissonance, disharmony, hatred and jealousy, revenge, retribution and your weakness, in order to become steadfast ones who take joy in life and well-being. And let it be said to you once again that you shall not wage any battles, wars, and shall not take prisoners in a fight either, because freedom is given to all people of your kind human beings, and to all kinds of life forms, through the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things creation. And if it is the case nevertheless that you have prisoners, people of your kind human beings, who have done something to deserve a punishment, then you shall only restrict their freedom in such a way that they do not have to spend their existence life behind walls, but instead in places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, where they can live in freedom and be responsible for their own provision, food, clothing, etc., whilst however being excluded from the totality of people of your kind society. And if you keep animals and other creatures in unfreedom, then ensure that their living space is sufficiently large for them to have an adequate space for freedom, and do not keep slaves, thralls or other subjugated ones, because they also live in imprisonment, since they are the property of others and do not have their own freedom, which allows them to do and to omit to do as they prefer. So they are the suppressed possession of slave masters, masters of subjugated ones, and masters of thralls who do not have their own freedom of decision, free will, and are robbed of freedom. And if you have fallible ones who are brought to places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, then take care for the well-being of their body, their inner world consciousness, and their psyche, so they are not beset by tribulation and thereby come to harm. And if fallible ones are brought to places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, who are regarded as a great danger for people of your kind human beings, because it is certain that they will fall back into their outrageous criminal activities, then also provide for their well-being, and also that they can provide for themselves food, clothing, and that they have access to the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life, but they shall remain in the place of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, for the duration of their life, and so there is no longer any danger for the totality of people of your kind society. And teach the prisoners, the fallible ones, who are in your hands or at places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, that they shall recognize goodness and truthfulness in themselves, so that it may go better with them than before previously, when they did non-rightful things, and be benevolent and fair to them, and forgive them if they show remorse. However, if they only want to betray you because they do not change their attitude mentality, in order to be able to be released from the place of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place. Then retain might over them and have them continue to remain in the place of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, so they can no longer carry out any outrageous crimes against the totality of people of your kind society, or against individuals of you. Truly, if you are ones knowing of the truth and go out, leave, or remain in your homesteads in order to teach the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life to those knowing in the teaching, just as the true prophets do, then do not dispute the truth of the teaching with people of your kind, fellow human beings, but rather stand by them with help and also give them shelter if they require it, so that you are not strangers but friends to one another, and consider, even if you are strangers amongst one another as people of your kind, fellow human beings, so you shall nevertheless be conscientious, responsible for one another by standing by, helping one another when assistance, help, is required or recognizably, visibly, a necessity, and this not only applies to people of your kind, human beings, as individuals, but also to an entire people and all people of your kind, humankind. Awake unto the truth of love as is firstly given and secondly recommended through the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things creation, so that you only do good things to one another and do not foment calamity against yourselves and against people of your kind, fellow human beings, and therefore no chaos comes about. And if you are knowing ones in the truth and you teach people of your kind, fellow human beings, the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life as the true prophets also teach it, and because you know about the real truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation, you are connected to them and follow them, then you are truthfully fair ones, responsible ones, righteous ones, conscientious ones, and full of virtues, so you forgive those who are against you, whatever their reasons may be. And if you are knowing ones in the truth, then do not quarrel for the truth, rather live according to it and teach it, and therefore you are in your knowledge about the truth and in life an example for them, by means of which you always stand close to people of your kind, fellow human beings, whether you are blood relations, friends or strangers of one another. Chapter 9. Make a declaration of a solemn release from any attachment, obligation, towards gods and tin gods and their servants of gods and servants of tin gods to whom you have made promises and in whom you believe. Free yourselves from all beliefs, assumptions, of your godlinesses, religions, and sub-godlinesses, sects, cults, and learn the knowledge about the truth of the laws and recommendations of the fertilization of life creation, so that you become knowing ones of the truth, following the true laws and recommendations of life, so that you do not ruin anything that has been given to you through the appearance nature, and through anything else of the fertilization of life creation. Do not continue to spend your existence life in submissiveness and servitude, bondage to gods and tin gods and to servants of gods and servants of tin gods, because submission casts you down into an abasement of yourselves, into subservience and denial of yourselves, self-denial, so that you are unfree and chained and cannot live according to your own determination, volition, because you are bound by amenableness, obedience, servility. Be unattached, free from all gods, tin gods, servants of gods and servants of tin gods. Regret your belief assumptions in them and turn yourselves away from them, so that you become strong and can no longer ruin anything that is given to you in the extent entirety, through the fertilization of life creation, such as true love and freedom, peace and consonance, harmony. In yourselves make yourselves unattached, free from gods, tin gods, servants of gods and servants of tin gods, because it is through their belief assumptions, which they have forced on you, that they cause you pain in your thoughts and feelings. So in them you fall prey to uncertainty as well as anguish and fear, wherein you persist because they threaten you with punishment and judgment of the gods and tin gods.